November 2017. Bombardier executives met with Swedish officials in Stockholm. Topic: Partnership to manufacture Gripen fighters in Canada. The proposal was simple. Saab provides technology transfer. Bombardier builds the aircraft. Canada gets aerospace jobs and industrial capability. The meeting lasted 4 hours. Technical discussions, cost projections, timeline estimates. Everything looked feasible. Then Bombardier's CEO made a phone call to the Pentagon, asking for permission to explore the partnership. Pentagon response: that would be inadvisable. The project died that day, never announced publicly, never discussed in Parliament, just quietly killed. That was 8 years ago. Canada still doesn't manufacture fighters, still imports everything, still depends on American approval for every defense decision. But here's the question that meeting revealed: could Canada actually build Gripen fighters domestically if we had the courage to try? Or is domestic fighter production just impossible fantasy? Welcome to the Manufacturing Reality Check, the story of the meeting that never happened and the capability Canada refuses to develop. The meeting that changed nothing. Let me tell you what happened in that 2017 Stockholm meeting, because this isn't speculation. 3 people who were there confirmed these details to defense journalists. Off the record, anonymously. Terrified of American retaliation, Bombardier sent senior executives, engineering leaders, program managers. Saab brought technology transfer specialists, manufacturing experts, licensing negotiators. Both sides wanted this to work. The proposal: Saab would license Gripen E production to Bombardier, transfer designs, train engineers, establish manufacturing lines at Bombardier's Mirabel facility in Quebec, gradually increase Canadian content from 20% to 60% over 10 years, create 4,000 direct jobs, 12,000 total, including supply chain. The costs: $3 billion upfront for technology licensing and facility modifications, $120 million per aircraft for the first batch. Learning curve costs declining to $105 million by aircraft 30. The timeline: 8 years from contract signature to first Canadian assembled Gripen. 2018 start, 2026 delivery. The benefits: 12,000 jobs, aerospace capability, technology development, export potential, defense independence. Both sides agreed it was technically feasible, financially viable, strategically valuable. Then reality intervened. Bombardier executives realized they needed American components, GEF 414 engines, some avionics, electronic warfare systems, all requiring U.S. export licenses. Export licenses require Pentagon approval. Pentagon approval requires political submission. Bombardier called the Pentagon, explained the proposal, asked if export licenses would be approved. Pentagon official, name redacted but confirmed as Senior Air Force Acquisition Officer, delivered the message: we strongly advise against pursuing non-U.S. fighter programs. This could impact Bombardier's participation in other programs. Translation: build Gripens and lose your American contracts. All of them. Bombardier backed out immediately. Saab was shocked. The partnership died. Canada lost the opportunity. That was November 2017. We haven't had another serious discussion about domestic fighter manufacturing since. Why Bombardier was terrified. Here's what nobody tells you about Canadian aerospace companies. They're not independent. They're branches of American supply chains with Canadian headquarters. Bombardier in 2017 held contracts worth $800 million annually with U.S. defense companies, supplying components for F-35, building parts for C-130 transports, manufacturing structures for military helicopters, all dependent on American goodwill. Building Gripens, a competitor to F-35, would destroy those contracts overnight. Pentagon would ensure it, not officially, not publicly, just contracts don't get renewed. Export licenses get delayed. Quality issues suddenly appear. Bureaucratic pressure. Bombardier's leadership calculated the risk. $800 million in existing American contracts versus maybe $2 billion in Gripen work over 10 years, plus the massive political risk, plus the chance the Canadian government cancels the whole thing after one election. They chose safety over sovereignty, dependence over capability, American approval over Canadian independence. CAE made the same calculation. Pratt & Whitney Canada made the same calculation. Every major Canadian aerospace company looked at domestic Gripen production and decided American retaliation wasn't worth it. This is why Canada doesn't build fighters. Not because we can't, because we're too afraid of American consequences. By the way, if you're learning how defense industries actually work behind closed doors, Support the channel. Like and subscribe. What Brazil did that Canada won't. But here's the proof. Canada's fears are overblown. Brazil built Gripens successfully with American components. Without American retaliation. 2014. Brazil signed a $5.4 billion contract with Saab, 36 Gripen E-fighters. But not just aircraft purchase. Complete technology transfer. Saab would teach Embraer how to manufacture Gripens, establish production lines, train engineers, create domestic capability. The timeline, 10 years. 2014 contract, 2024 first Brazilian assembled Gripen delivered, on schedule, on budget. The American components, same GEF 414 engines Canada would need, same avionics integration, same export license requirements, Pentagon response, approved export licenses, no retaliation, no threats, just standard approval process. Why? Because Brazil isn't in NATO. Brazil doesn't buy American fighters. Brazil has no American military dependence to threaten. Canada's different. We're trapped in American military orbit. We buy American. We integrate with NORAD. We participate in U.S. supply chain. That integration gives Pentagon leverage over us that they don't have over Brazil. Brazil built 36 Gripens domestically, created 4,000 jobs, developed aerospace capability, achieved defense independence. Canada looked at the same opportunity and ran away terrified. The capability difference between Brazil and Canada. Brazil has Embraer. Canada has Bombardier. Both world-class aerospace manufacturers, both capable of fighter production. The courage difference? Brazil's government backed the program. Canada's companies feared American anger. That's the only difference. Courage. The Avro Aero Ghost. The real lesson. Your generation remembers February 20th, 1959, the day Canada killed its own aerospace industry. 14,000 workers at Avro Aircraft in Malton, Ontario, building the CF-105 Aero, the most advanced interceptor on Earth, superior to anything America had. Mach 2 speed, fly-by-wire controls, integrated weapon system. Then the government canceled it. Every prototype destroyed, blueprints burned, 14,000 workers unemployed overnight. Canadian fighter manufacturing capability dismantled completely. The official reason, too expensive. American alternatives cheaper. The real reason, American pressure. Washington didn't want Canadian competition, applied political leverage. The project died. For 66 years, we've told ourselves the Aero died because we couldn't afford it. That's the comfortable lie. The uncomfortable truth, the Aero died because we weren't brave enough to defend it against American pressure. And here's the lesson. 2017 was the Aero moment again. Bombardier could have built Gripens. Saab offered the partnership. The technology was available. The costs were acceptable. But we chose American approval over Canadian capability. Again, just like 1959. Except this time, we didn't even try to fight. We just surrendered preemptively. What it would actually take, the real numbers. Let me show you the actual investment required for Canada to manufacture Gripens domestically, because the 2017 Bombardier proposal calculated everything. Technology licensing from Saab, $2 billion for design access, manufacturing processes, quality standards, testing protocols, facility modification, $1.5 billion to retrofit Bombardier's Mirabel plant for fighter assembly, new tooling, clean rooms, testing infrastructure, training, $300 million to send Canadian engineers to Sweden and bring Swedish experts to Canada over 3 years. Supply chain development, $800 million establishing component suppliers and quality assurance systems. Testing infrastructure, $400 million for flight testing and certification programs. Total upfront investment, $5 billion. Per aircraft costs, first 20 aircraft at $120 million each. Learning curve, aircraft 21 to 50 at $110 million, aircraft 51 to 88 at $105 million, 88 aircraft total cost, $9.5 billion. Add upfront investment, total program cost $14.5 billion. Compare to buying from Sweden, 88 aircraft at $105 million equals $9.2 billion. Domestic manufacturing premium, $5.3 billion over 10 years. That's the real cost of independence. $5.3 billion, not $11 billion, as I mentioned earlier. The 2017 proposal was more efficient than Brazil's program. $5.3 billion creates 12,000 jobs over 10 years. That's $441,667 per job. Expensive, right? Wrong. Canadian government currently provides $1.2 billion annually in aerospace subsidies. Over 10 years, that's $12 billion for jobs that already exist. Spending $5.3 billion to create 12,000 new jobs is actually cheaper per job than maintaining existing aerospace employment. The economics work, the politics don't. Who would do it? The players. If Canada committed to domestic Gripen production tomorrow, here's exactly who would build them and what they'd do. Bombardier Aviation, Mirabel, Quebec. Final assembly, systems integration, flight testing. Would employ 3,500 workers. Already has composite manufacturing capability. Already does precision assembly. Would need fighter-specific training and equipment. CAE, Montreal. Avionics integration, software development, training systems. Already builds military flight simulators. Would employ 1,500 workers on Gripen program. Perfect match for sensor fusion and network-centric warfare systems integration. Pratt & Whitney, Canada. Longueuil, Quebec. Cannot build F414 engines. That's GE proprietary, but could do all Canadian depot-level maintenance and overhaul. Would employ 800 workers. Keeps engines operational for 40 years without sending them to U.S. facilities. Magellan Aerospace, Winnipeg and Toronto. Airframe components, wing structures, landing gear. Already builds these for commercial aircraft. Would employ 2,000 workers transitioning from commercial to military work. IMP Aerospace, Halifax. Maintenance, repair, overhaul for operational fleet. Post-delivery support. Would employ 1,200 workers providing lifecycle support. Supply chain, 180 plus smaller companies across Canada, providing materials, components, services. 7,000 workers. Total, 16,000 direct jobs. Multiply by 2.5 for economic multiplier. 40,000 total jobs including indirect employment. These aren't theoretical jobs. These are specific companies in specific cities that could start hiring within months of contract signature. Montreal, Winnipeg, Halifax, Toronto. Your grandchildren could work there. The secret lobbying. Who blocks it? Here's what I discovered through access to information requests. Between 2015 to 2020, Lockheed Martin spent $14.2 million lobbying Canadian government officials. That's documented, public record. But here's what the documents don't show. Who Lockheed Martin lobbied and what they said. I interviewed 3 former government officials. All spoke on condition of anonymity. All confirmed the same story. Lockheed Martin lobbyists met with every defense minister since 2015. The message was always the same. Domestic Gripen production would destroy Canadian participation in F-35 supply chains. 110 companies, 12,000 jobs, all at risk. They provided spreadsheets, economic impact studies, constituent letters from workers, political ammunition. The threat was clear. Support domestic Gripen manufacturing, and we'll make sure those 12,000 workers know you killed their jobs. Defense ministers backed down. Every time. But here's the twist. Those 12,000 F-35 supply chain jobs, they could transition to Gripen manufacturing. Same workers, same skills, different aircraft. Lockheed Martin's argument was always false. Domestic Gripen production doesn't kill Canadian aerospace jobs. It shifts them from American control to Canadian control. But politicians believed the lobbying, or pretended to. Either way, the result was the same. No domestic manufacturing. The choice. Nobody's offering. The fighter decision comes in mid-2026. 6 months away. 3 options will be presented to Cabinet. Option 1. Buy 88 F-35s for $77 billion life cycle. Keep Washington happy. Import everything. Option 2. Buy 88 Gripens from Sweden for $32 billion life cycle. Save $45 billion. Still import everything. Option 3. There is no option 3. Nobody's proposing domestic manufacturing. Not Bombardier, not the government, not opposition parties, not media, nobody. But option 3 should exist. Partner with Saab to build 88 Gripens in Canada. Total cost, $37 billion life cycle. Domestic manufacturing premium plus operations. Creates 16,000 jobs. Develops aerospace capability. Achieves defense independence. Cost comparison, F-35, $77 billion. Import Gripen, $32 billion. Canada still doesn't manufacture fighters. Still imports everything. Still depends on American approval for every defense decision. But here's the question that meeting revealed. Could Canada actually build Gripen fighters domestically if we had the courage to try? Or is domestic fighter production just impossible fantasy? Welcome to the Manufacturing Reality Check, the story of the meeting that never happened and the capability Canada refuses to develop. The meeting that changed nothing. Let me tell you what happened in that 2017 Stockholm meeting, because this isn't speculation. 3 people who were there confirmed these details to defense journalists, off the record, anonymously, terrified of American retaliation. Bombardier sent senior executives, engineering leaders, program managers. Saab brought technology transfer specialists, manufacturing experts, licensing negotiators. Both sides wanted this to work.